Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. The campaign ends for the penultimate phase of India's general elections. 57 seats, including 7 in India's national capital, poll on May 25. China launches punishment drills around Taiwan. Taiwan condemns the provocation. Local Taiwanese carry on with business as usual. Taiwanese stock markets trade flat. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak campaigns a day after announcing snap general elections on July 4, claims his government has got the economy back on track. Late Iranian President Raisi is laid to rest in a burial ceremony in Mashhad. India's Vice President Dhankar pays tribute on behalf of the Indian people. (2024) is not just an election year, it's perhaps the election year. Now, globally, more than ever in history, more countries are going to be heading to the polls this year. And in India, we are at the last leg, in fact, now that we are close ending campaigning. We're at the last leg of India's largest elections in the world. Election campaigning for the sixth phase, the penultimate phase of India's general elections, concluded today. The sixth phase of polling is all set to take place on the 25th of May in 57 constituencies. The sixth phase will cover 8 states and union territories. In this phase, a total of 889 candidates are in the fray, and polling will be held also in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag Rajouri Lok Sabha constituency. Last month, the Election Commission of India had revised the polling date for the Anantnag Rajouri Lok Sabha seat from May 7 to May 25 because of logistical, communication and natural barriers related to connectivity. The counting of votes for all polls will be done on June 4. With the electoral battle gaining momentum in West Bengal, the Tamluk Lok Sabha seat in East Midnapur district awaits a fierce confrontation in the sixth phase of elections on May 25. All eyes will be on it as the BJP, TMC and CPM fight it out in a tough tri-corner contest. DD India's Shreya Mukherjee reports.
As the 2024 elections nears its end, the Tamluk constituency situated in the East Midnapur district awaits a fierce political combat. It's BJP's 61-year-old former Calcutta High Court judge Abhijit Gangopadhyay against TMC's 27-year-old young Turk and head of social media cell Debanshu Bhattacharya. Giving the duo a close fight is CPIM's young leader and lawyer 30-year-old Shayan Banerjee in the sixth phase of the polls on May 25. The BJP has pitted retired Justice Gangopadhyay with the hope that his crusade against the alleged teachers' recruitment scam of the TMC will touch chords with the electorates of not just Tamluk but across the state. Whereas the TMC has pinned hope on their trusted young face Debanshu Bhattacharya, who came to prominence with his Khela Hobe battle cry in the 2021 assembly polls. In the same election, TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee was defeated by the BJP.
We want BJP to win and will support Abhijit Gangopadhyay wholeheartedly. TMC did not do anything worthwhile in this area in the last decade. We are also troubled by the TMC syndicate and cut money raj.
Abhijit Gangopadhyay made headlines in 2022 for his directions to the CBI to probe the alleged irregularities in the recruitment of teachers by the West Bengal School Service Commission. Along with being lauded for this, he has also been criticized for switching from judiciary to politics.
Mamata Didi will win. She's done so much for the state through several welfare schemes. BJP doesn't stand a chance here.
Mamata Banerjee once said that the former judge's leadership has come from denying jobs to thousands of students. She even declared that she will send students to fight him if he at all contests from anywhere. Staying true to her words, she gave the opportunity to Dibanshu Bhattacharya, an active member of Trinamool Chhatra Parishad, the party's student wing. In 2007, the anti-land acquisition movement in Tamluk's Nandigram, a delta region in the coast of Bay of Bengal, against the Left Front government led to TMC's rise to power in 2011. Now, with the new wave, it seems this constituency might act as the catalyst for change one more time.
While political parties are leaving no stone unturned to win, the voters want certain developments and they will only support those who works on them. With camera person PK in Tomluk, West Bengal, this is Shreya Mukherjee for DD India.
And DD India's program Poll Pulse brings us this report on the election fever in India's national capital, New Delhi. DD India's Sakal Bhatt tracks the pulse of the people in Delhi, providing an in-depth look at the political landscape of the city.
Delhi, or Dilli, as it is called in colloquial language, feels the heartbeat of India, thus reflecting the larger Indian sentiment. And that could be one of the reasons why it is the capital of the country. Delhi has a legacy. It has been the most important political center since time immemorial and also the capital of various empires. On May 25th, Delhi is going to witness a capital contest, a fierce fight between the BJP on one hand and the opposition helmed by Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress in the national capital.
So besides its legendary legacy, Delhi, or Dilli as they call in colloquial language, is very famous for its bustling marketplaces and its mouth-watering eateries. And here we are in Bengali market.
Everybody's looking forward who's gonna make it. And all the Delhiites, they're looking for some nice things to happen. Be it the development or the facilities.
The collision of Congress and Aam Aadmi Party against BJP, the main highlight in Delhi elections, because never in Delhi happened that two parties are collated together against BJP. Although BJP has not won much in Delhi, but it will be great to see the collision of Congress and Aam Aadmi Party against BJP.
महिलाओं को वोट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है क्योंकि उनकी सुरक्षा वोट में ही है। वोट करेंगी तो उनको सुरक्षा मिलेगी, इसीलिए वोट जरूर करना चाहिए महिलाओं को।
तो जो देश को चलाएगा उस आदमी को देखना तो पड़ेगा ना आपको, और बिना वोट दिए आपको नहीं बात बनेगी। वोट तो आपको सभी को देना चाहिए, चाहे दुनिया में कोई भी आदमी हो।
So the political discourse of the Delhi contest is largely dominated by two big questions. Question number one, will BJP actually get to complete its hat-trick spree of wins in the national capital? And secondly, will the corruption taint of the Aam Aadmi Party or the corruption-tainted image of the opposition Aam Aadmi Party impact its political fortunes in these elections?
With camera person Rajesh Riki, Sakal Bhatt reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
With more from New Delhi about the ending of polling and how the city is preparing for elections. Well, Akshay, how is Delhi preparing for the 25th of May polls?
Well, Mark, now that the campaigning has ended, the focus right now will be on the preparations of the Election Commission of India and how the preparations are being made in all of the constituencies that are going for polls in the 6th phase of elections, that include all of Delhi, all of Haryana and other states as well, where various constituencies are going for polls. Now, if you talk about the National Capital Territory, that is Delhi, elaborate arrangements have been made from security to ensuring that the electronic voting machines are well at the booths in time. All the polling officials, all the officials that are going to conduct the voting process are briefed appropriately, they are trained appropriately, they have all the skill sets given to them required for this entire behemoth exercise that is going to take place. Now, looking at the population of New Delhi and of Delhi, that is over 20 million people just living in the National Capital Territory of Delhi, it is going to be a challenging task for the Election Commission to ensure that a high voting turnout is recorded in the city. In fact, if you look at the history of Delhi's voting in the national elections, the general elections, it has not been great. It has been below average, and that is going to be the biggest challenge for the Election Commission to in fact ensure that voters come out of their homes. In fact, if you look at the temperatures and the weather conditions in Delhi, it's not favorable. The temperatures have been touching up to 47.5 degrees Celsius in various parts of Delhi, and that is going to be one of the biggest challenge for the Election Commission to ensure that all of the polling officials, all the polling officials, security officials that have been deployed for this duty are in fact protected as well from the adverse weather conditions. In fact, along with that, to ensure that voters who will be coming out of their homes are also comfortable and they do not have to wait in lines for a long time out in the sun to exercise their right. So that is going to be one challenge. The hopes are high that this time around Delhi will be voting better. The voting turnout will be better compared to the last elections. But it all remains to be seen, and whatever the voting percentage will be, that is going to decide where the 7 constituencies will be going, which party they will be, which party will be winning out of these 7 constituencies from Delhi. But these are certain challenges here. But when it comes to the arrangements, then all eyes are right now on the security arrangements that are being made elaborately across the city, along with the polling officials that are getting briefings to ensure that transparent and smooth process is followed for the city.
Akshay, could you tell us also about what are the key issues in the National Capital Region? After all, you did mention about the population. There are keen, and the political sensitivity of the place. After all, it's the capital of India. People are keenly politically aware. There is one particular party ruling in the state, at least at the union territory level, and then of course the central government is also present. So tell us, fill us in with the kind of issues involved.
Well, it's very interesting, the case of Delhi, Mark, because we see that Delhi is being swept by one political party in the Lok Sabha elections, in the general elections, whereas when it comes to the legislative assembly elections, it's completely different. In fact, it's opposite, where that particular party is not getting enough seats to be a proper opposition. And that is because the people of Delhi, as you rightly mentioned, are politically aware. The issues are segregated. When it comes to the national elections take place. When it comes to the legislative elections, or when it comes to the civic elections, then those issues are concentrated by voters. So voters have not been following a particular party or a particular leader. They have been what we have seen according to the last trends of elections, both the national and local elections. Then it has been vote-based campaign, vote-based elections that have been happening in the national capital, and that is why there have been different reasons, and in all likelihood the national issues are going to play a key role when it comes to this election as well. Back to you, Mark.
We are also joined by Deepika, who is joining us from Azamgarh in Uttar Pradesh. Deepika, you sent us several reports and we saw a lot of colorful campaigning involving youngsters singing and all that. Put this all into context for us, also the key issues in the election.
You said it right, Mark. A very good evening from here, Azamgarh, which is a very important constituency when we talk about UP. As we all know that 80 constituencies are there in UP. Many of them have already done their polling. And now in the 6th phase of Lok Sabha elections, which is on the 25th of May, the entire eastern part of UP will go to polls. There are 14 seats, and out of which Azamgarh is a very important seat. Now the fight is directly between BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, and Samajwadi Party year. When we look at the candidates here, the kind of candidates here from Azamgarh, we've got a seasoned MP whose name is Dharmendra Yadav. He's also a very close aide of Akhilesh Yadav, who's been the former Chief Minister of UP. And also when we look at Samajwadi Party, it's a very old party and also a party that has a very strong hold over here. Now what BJP has done, interestingly, they've put a celebrity, a Bhojpuri singer and an actor in front of Dharmendra Yadav. His name is Dinesh Lal Yadav, who's also very famously known as Narua. So he is continuously, rather both the parties are doing continuous campaigning, aggressive campaigning till late night. We've also followed all the parties till 12 o'clock in the midnight. And as you just mentioned that there are kids also involved, and yes, they are putting up young talent and rising stars in all their campaigning to make it more attractive for the UP belt, especially when we talk about eastern part of it, Mark.
Yes. We leave it there. Thanks very much, Deepika Mehto and Akshay Dongre. Thank you for putting this into perspective for us. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Fighting intensifies in Kharkiv region of Ukraine. Ukraine's president seeks additional defense systems from the West. A Thai hospital says that 20 people from the Singapore Airlines flight remain in intensive care.
There is enormous power in people's narratives, especially when they tell their own story. We meet some people and communities who tell us how it is done.
Anything hazardous to humans is dumped here in North Chennai. We need to tell these stories because we are the ones who are affected by it.
Delhi Metro's philosophy is very clear. We want to generate non-conventional energy. Apart from the whatever is supplied by the grid, we want to generate a lot of energy through solar sources.
The benefit of running an MRF is that it protects me from the rain and harsh conditions outdoors. Work goes on even in hot weather and during the rainy season.
India is one of the climate swing states. We have to get India right to get emissions and to be able to really combat climate change.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. The UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak launched his election campaign on Wednesday at an East London exhibition centre. Analysts expect the ruling Conservatives to lose to the Labour Party after 14 years in power. Sunak pointed to signs of economic recovery, including falling inflation and the fastest economic growth in nearly 3 years, as evidence of the Conservative Party's strength.
To 2%, we have delivered on my first priority, to drive inflation back to normal. Now, we've shown the country that it is only this Conservative Party that can deliver the economic stability, the foundation of our national success. The economy is growing again, faster than Germany, France and the United States. Wages have been rising faster than prices for 10 months now. The economy has turned a corner. Friends, our plan is working.
Meanwhile, Keir Starmer, who's the leader of the opposition in the UK, the Labour Party, also kicked off his election campaign on Thursday, addressing supporters in Gillingham Football Club in Kent. Starmer promised that voting for Labour would mean a vote to rebuild the country. UK's former chief prosecutor, Starmer, vowed to bring stability and also change to a disgruntled electorate.
If you want change, you have to vote for it. And if you vote Labour, it's a vote to stop the chaos, it's a vote to turn the page, and it's a vote to rebuild our country together.
And Ollie Barrett now joins us from London with more on these stories. Ollie, how ready is the UK for this general election?
The UK, I think, is ready for the general election in a logistical sense. It's held local elections on a near national scale as recently as earlier this month and is fairly well practiced at this kind of general election. There have been some controversies recently about new rules about exactly what kind of identification you need to take to the polls for elections here in the UK. But other than that, 6 weeks from now, Britain will go to the polls on July the 4th, and no expectations of any major problems at this point. One of the areas that authorities will be looking at, of course, and that has applied to several recent elections, but officials have made it clear it will apply to this one as well, is any kind of foreign interference. They will be very much on alert for that, hostile states trying to disrupt proceedings in any way. But as I say, authorities very much aware of that as a possibility that they might have to deal with. One of the nearly unique characteristics of this election is the fact that it's happening in July. We haven't had a July election in this country since 1945.
Okay, that's a long time ago. Well, Ollie, also the UK is a multi-party system, but people generally just talk about the Conservatives and Labour. What's the political landscape like?
That's right. Now, the traditionally third party, but at times not the third party in the UK, because it's lost some ground in recent years to, for example, the Scottish nationalists, the SNP, the Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats are trying to target a number of Conservative party seats in the UK, particularly in parts of southern and western England. They hope to recover to become something like the third party in national politics again at Westminster. You do have the SNP in Scotland, traditionally have campaigned on issues around Scottish independence. They've had a very difficult time politically recently. There are smaller parties as well, like Reform, right of centre Reform Party, which hopes that it can make inroads into traditionally conservative voters. But what often happens at general elections in the UK is that voters who might have dealt some of the major parties a protest vote in local elections between Westminster votes, often they return to the major parties at the time of general elections. And that's why we do often end up in this country with a first past the post system. More often than not, you do get a majority government, which is either the Labour Party or the Conservatives in, let's say, modern political history. So I think that's the expectation probably this time around as well. And if you look at the polling suggests that what is most likely this time around is a majority for a Labour government led by Keir Starmer. Now, the Conservatives will say there is time for them to recover. They believe that the Labour lead in the polls is what they describe as soft. They think they can make inroads and return to government after July the 4th. But as I say, all the polling, all of the data that we have recently suggests that will be very difficult indeed.
Ollie Barrett in London, thanks very much. China's military began 2 days of punishment exercises near Taiwan on Thursday, citing them as a response to perceived separatist actions. China deployed several fighter jets in various regions around Taiwan, including the Taiwan Strait, and conducted simulated attacks on strategic military targets. This move comes shortly after Taiwan's new president, Lai Ching-te, called on Beijing to cease its threats. Taiwan has denounced the exercises as irrational provocations that endanger regional peace and stability.
Ministry of National Defense expressed regret at PRA's Eastern Theater's announcement to conduct joint exercise in waters and airspace around Taiwan today. This irrational provocation has jeopardized regional peace and stability. Their military exercise is not helping with the situation around Taiwan Strait and also highlighting its hegemony mindset.
How seriously is Taiwan taking these Chinese military exercises? DD India's Laura Westbrook has sent us this report from Hong Kong.
Well, Taiwan's taking it very seriously. Taiwan's defense ministry has said that it has dispatched naval, air and ground forces to defend Taiwan's sovereignty. And we've also heard from the Taiwan presidential office that has called it regrettable that China's using military provocations to threaten Taiwan's democracy and freedom. It also said that its military and national security arm had a comprehensive understanding of the situation. Now, China has started these 2-day drills that it calls punishment drills, as you mentioned, and it says that it's in response to these separatist acts. It's currently encircling many areas around Taiwan, and it involves air, sea, and even rocket forces. It seems the timing of this, though, is very important. This comes 3 days after the new president of Taiwan was inaugurated, William Lai Ching-te, and Beijing, which claims Taiwan as its own, views him as a dangerous separatist, and they also view him as being pro-independence. In the last few days alone, China's foreign ministry, Wang Yi, called William Lai disgraceful.
Reacting to news of UK's interference in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova has said that Moscow will retaliate by targeting British assets both inside and outside Ukraine if British weapons are used to strike Russian territory. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has requested for additional defense systems to protect his country against Russia's guided bombs.
Ukraine needs systems and tactics that will allow us to protect our positions, our cities and our communities from these bombs, which are currently the main instrument of Russian terror and in the occupiers' advances.
And Megumi Lim now joins us from Kiev in Ukraine with more on these stories. Megumi, NATO's northern group is discussing delivery of military aid to Ukraine. What are Ukraine's expectations?
Well, the expectation has been the same for quite a long time. Ukraine is asking for more air defense systems. This has been President Zelensky's request for quite a while now. And Lithuania, after this meeting, has said that they're testing out and buying Lithuanian-made air defense drones to offer to Ukraine. It is unclear the capability of these air defense drones. Russian forces have been using more powerful, faster missiles to strike at Ukrainian cities and Ukrainian positions. So we have yet to see what kind of capabilities these air defense drones will have. Now, Germany has been playing quite a big role in offering and supplying more air defense systems for Ukraine and has already supplied its own battery systems for Ukraine, just like the United States have done as well. But in April, Germany launched an initiative to help find more air defense systems for Ukraine, and so far several European countries have backed this initiative, saying that they can help provide the funds for this initiative to get more air defense systems to Ukraine. Now, this expectation and this request from Ukraine is taking place against the backdrop of more intense air attacks taking place by Russian forces against Ukraine's Kharkiv region and also the city of Kharkiv. Just today, there was yet another missile attack in the city against the city of Kharkiv. 15 missiles were used to strike the city, where at least so far 7 people have been killed. So again, the expectation from Ukraine's Western allies is that Ukraine will be able to get more air defense systems, and right now the focus is again on Kharkiv, where President Zelensky said that Ukraine will be needing at least 2 Patriot air defense systems to protect the area.
Megumi, also Zelensky says that Russia is taking advantage of the lack of air defenses and reliable capability to destroy Russian launchers. But he calls this, the world's weakness. Can you put that statement into context for us?
Well, yes, there are several ways to interpret President Zelensky's statement, but in the context of what has been taking place recently, the debate has been going on whether or not to allow Ukraine to use, especially US-supplied long-range weapons to strike at Russian military assets outside of Russian-occupied territory, outside of Ukrainian territory, but within Russian territory. And time again, Washington has stuck to its policy of not allowing Ukraine to use US-supplied long-range weapons to strike at Russian territory. But this is something that President Zelensky has been urging the US to change their policy on. Some analysts have said that Russian forces were able to mount and launch their ground incursion into Ukraine's northeast, opening up a new war front last week, because even though Ukrainian troops and Ukrainian military officials were able to see a buildup of Russian forces, Russian supply lines across the border inside Russia, they were not able to strike at those positions using the very powerful weapons that have been given to Ukraine. Now, U.S. Secretary Antony Blinken, after his visit to Kiev, he said that it was a very sobering visit to Ukraine, and he is now urging President Biden to lift this ban on this policy to allow Ukraine to target and hit Russian military assets in Russia. And we may be seeing a policy change in the coming days or weeks if Washington decides to change their mind on this policy.
Right, Megumi, thank you very much for joining us. Now, a hospital in Bangkok said in a statement that 20 people who were aboard that Singapore Airlines flight that hit severe turbulence and was diverted to Bangkok for an emergency landing on Tuesday remain in intensive care. According to the hospital, of the 40 people on the flight, 22 patients have spinal cord injuries, 6 have brain injuries and skull injuries. The oldest patient is 83 years old and the youngest is 2 years of age, and they've suffered a concussion. 10 British, 9 Australian, 7 Malaysian and 4 Filipino citizens were among the 41 people who are treated for injuries. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. The Israeli Prime Minister condemns Ireland, Spain and Norway's decision to recognize Palestinian statehood. The Indian Air Force carries out a successful night vision goggles-aided landing in the eastern sector.
We are in Cannes, the famous city on the French Riviera. The 77th edition of the Cannes Film Festival is here. So soak into 12 days of world cinema and the hottest fashion trends. The famous 24 steps leading to the Palais des Festivals, where most of the cinema at this festival is screened, are beckoning. Join me, Munmun Bhattacharya, as I take you through all the buzz around the festival and on India's participation in it, only on DD India.
This election season, join us on a journey of India.
We are in Assam. This is the tea city of India.
From down south, Tamil Nadu.
Discover the colors of democracy.
Gateway to northeast of India.
Coastal state of Kerala. Watch Poll Pulse on DT India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Israel's Kogat has released a video, and it shows that 8 trucks parked in Gaza have arrived via the US-built floating pier. Now, this Israeli Defense Ministry agency has been tasked with coordinating aid deliveries to Palestinian territories. COGAT said that they were working in cooperation with the Israeli Navy and the United States to operate the pier, adding that on Wednesday, 27 trucks containing 371 pallets were transported to the logistics center of the international aid agencies. Israel is retaliating against Hamas in Gaza, an enclave of about 2.3 million people, over the brutal October 7th attack by the Palestinian militants. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has condemned Ireland, Spain and Norway's decision to recognize Palestinian statehood as a reward for terrorism following the October 7 attacks. In a video message, Netanyahu said that rewarding terrorism will not bring peace and neither will it stop Israel from defeating Hamas.
The intention of several European countries to recognize a Palestinian state is a report of terrorism. 80% of the Palestinians in Judea and Samaria support the terrible massacre of October 7. The evil cannot be given a state. This would be a terrorist state. It will try to repeat the massacre of October 7 again and again. We will not consent to this. Rewarding terrorism will not bring peace and neither will it stop us from defeating Hamas.
And condemning some European nations' recognition of a Palestinian state, the Israeli government spokesperson David Mencer has said that Israel will not remain silent in the face of those undermining its sovereignty and endangering its security.
Ireland, Norway and Spain are telling Hamas in a loud and clear voice that the October 7th massacre pays off. They are telling Palestinians that educating children to terrorism and refusing to accept a Jewish state pays off. There is no talk of bridge building, of coexistence, of bringing people together. No. These countries encourage and perpetuate war, more conflict, more bloodshed, not less. We send a clear and unequivocal message to their leaders. Israel will not remain silent in the face of those undermining our sovereignty and endangering our security.
And Sarah Coates now joins us from Tel Aviv with an update on this story. Well, Sarah, the Israeli government says that, and I'm quoting, no power on earth can stop Israel from protecting its citizens. Now, how much does support, in fact, does Netanyahu have to continue the ground offensive in Rafah?
Hello there, Mark. Well, internationally, this operation hasn't been and isn't supported at all. We do need to remember what we heard from the US President Joe Biden repeatedly calling an operation in Rafah a red line. And this, of course, is due to the mass number of people that have been sheltering down in that southern city, an area that was declared a safe zone up until fairly recently. Now, it's also strained relations with a number of regional partners like the Egyptians, given that Rafah and Egypt do share a border, putting in jeopardy a decades-long peace treaty between the Egyptians and Israel. Now, domestically, it certainly does have support, given that the Israeli military has been maintaining that this is where the remaining 4 Hamas battalions are stationed, also saying that this operation needs to happen to potentially bring home some of these remaining Israeli captives. We do also need to remember the sheer amount of pressure that's been put on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from the far right-wing elements in his government, like Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, and the national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who have repeatedly threatened to walk away from the government, to collapse the coalition if Netanyahu doesn't go full steam into Rafah. Mark.
Sarah, you did talk about the remaining Israeli captives, but what's the update then on the hostage situation?
Well, the War Cabinet has instructed these Israeli negotiators to resume talks, and this came after a horrific video was released late yesterday. It was released at the request of a number of family members of female soldiers. I understand you're not playing this video. It is very, very graphic. It is very, very hard to watch. This video was taken by Hamas operatives on October 7 when they stormed southern Israel. Now, you can see these young women. They are all 18 and 19 years old. They are covered in blood. They have clearly been beaten, and they are terrified before they were taken back into Gaza. Now, this was released, as I said, by family members to raise awareness of the plight of the captives who do remain in the Gaza Strip. It's been more than 220 days now. Now, last night, there was another massive protest here in Tel Aviv. People demanding that the Prime Minister Netanyahu do a deal now to bring these people home. So this is certainly why we are potentially seeing some movement with these negotiations. But at this stage, it's very unclear as to where these negotiations will actually go, given that Israel and Hamas have been very firm on their points. Hamas wants a full, comprehensive ceasefire. Israel says that simply will not happen.
Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv, thank you very much. The mortal remains of the late Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi reached the final resting place, Mashhad, on Thursday. Together with two other victims of the helicopter crash ahead of a burial ceremony, thousands gathered in the Iranian city of Birjand to follow the funeral procession for Raisi. Thursday's ceremonies follow a funeral prayer led by Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in Tehran, which was attended by 40 foreign dignitaries. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar is also in Iran, and he paid condolences to the late president in Tehran on Wednesday. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. An accident at a campaign rally in the Mexican state of Nuevo León claimed 9 lives, including 1 child, on Wednesday. A heavy gust of wind collapsed the stage, causing fatalities and injuring around 50 people treated in local clinics. Spanish police had recovered a painting by the late Irish-born British figurative artist Francis Bacon, worth an estimated €5 million, and one of 5 stolen from a Madrid home in 2015. The 1989 study of portrait of Jose Capello is the 4th painting to be recovered of the group, estimated to be worth a combined €25 million. The 10th World Water Forum themed Water for Shared Prosperity is underway in Bali. The forum discussions focus towards achieving Sustainable Development Goals 6 as well as 2, 14 and 15. Indonesia has become the first Southeast Asian country to host this international forum.
Avoiding competition and managing transboundary water resources.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the United States has claimed that more than 60% of the world's coral reefs may have bleached in the past year. A marine expert has said that the seawater exceeding 31 degrees Celsius is the main reason for coral bleaching and that their eventual death will follow. In a significant advancement of its operational capabilities, the Indian Air Force has successfully carried out a successful night vision goggles-aided landing at an advanced landing ground in the eastern sector. The successful landing, announced via the Indian Air Force's post on X, marks a pivotal moment in the force's continuous efforts to expand its capabilities. The C-130J aircraft, known for its versatility and advanced technology, performed the landing under challenging conditions, demonstrating the proficiency and readiness of the Air Force personnel. Let's take a look at other stories making the news. The Delhi Metro train services on all lines to start from 4 a.m. so that staff deployed for election duty can avail of the facility. The trains will run at a frequency of 30 minutes on all the lines until 6 a.m. After 6 a.m., normal metro services will run through the day. The 16-year-old Kamya Karthikeyan has become the second youngest girl and the youngest Indian mountaineer to summit Mount Everest on the 20th of May. A student of Navy Children's School in Mumbai, Kamya achieved this feat along with her father. At least 4 people were killed and 48 others were injured in a fire that was caused after a suspected boiler blast at a chemical factory in Dombivli area of Maharashtra. The officials said that the fire and the police personnel have reached the spot, adding efforts are on to bring it under control. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Thursday is a big day for India at the 77th Cannes Film Festival. Ecstatic Atalanta fans celebrate the Europa League triumph. And Asia celebrates Buddha Purnima, marking the birthday as well as the Enlightenment Day of Lord Buddha.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. No signs of getting a respite from the scorching heat. The India Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for several states in North India, including Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and western Uttar Pradesh, as the region continues to experience severe heatwave conditions over the next few days. Meanwhile, a red alert issued in 5 districts of Kerala, predicting extremely heavy rainfall. The IMD has predicted heavy rainfall in isolated parts of Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal on Thursday. Apart from these regions, the Weather Department has predicted heavy rainfall in Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura on Sunday. Mexico continued to sizzle on Wednesday after weather officials announced the start of the country's 3rd heat wave on Monday. The heat wave of the season would continue across most of Mexico, with temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius forecast in 9 states of the country. Mexico faces a severe nationwide drought that has led to a worsening water crisis among much of the country, and also making water a key issue in the June general election. Let's get you news about Pakistan as well. Now, Pakistan continued to sizzle after the weather authorities had forecast heatwave conditions across the country. The weather officials predicted high temperatures throughout the week, followed by dust and thunderstorms over the weekend. A heat wave is expected to last for at least 10 days. Weather officials have asked the public to take precautionary measures. Well, Thursday is a big day for India at the 77th Cannes Film Festival. On the 10th day of the festival, India's director Payal Kapadia's All We Imagine as Light. That's the movie that's screening in the main competition section and is thus a contender also for the Palme d'Or given to the director of the best film. The Indian cinematographer Santosh Sivan will give a masterclass to Cannes delegates on Thursday, a day before being honored with the Pierre Agnew Award. Now, this award is given every year at the festival as a recognition of excellence in cinematography. The winner under the last CINEF section of the festival will be announced on Thursday. In this section, FTII student Chidanandan Nayak's short film Sunflowers, Where the First Ones to Know, is competing against 17 other films. The Indian actor Aditi Rao Hyadri is in Cannes for the 3rd consecutive year. She chatted exclusively to DD India correspondent Munmun Bhattacharya at the Bharat Pavilion. Let's listen to what she said.
Indian actor Aditi Rao Hyadri is at the Bharat Pavilion of the Cannes Film Festival. Such a pleasure to have you, Aditi, on DD India. You are here because a tribute is being paid, the Pierre Agnew tribute to ace cinematographer Santosh Sivanji. Tell us about your association with him. What are the kind of films that you've done with him? What do you feel about his work?
I've actually only done one film with him, but it was a very special film because it was a film with Mani Ratnam, and Santosh sir was the cinematographer. It was incredible to watch them both work together and their synergy, and just the fact that they're both legends, and I got to be directed by a legend and filmed by a legend. So I felt very blessed to do that, and I hope I get to work with him more.
What stands out in his work? Is it his lighting, or how do you look at his philosophy towards lighting? Because he told me that he believes that life is all about mystery. Mystery is all about the way he plays with lights.
I mean, absolutely. I think that's what it is, right? Cinematography, or photography, or it's how light hits whatever it is that you're shooting, and it's that magic that light creates. But it takes a legendary and incredible cinematographer like Santosh Sivan to create magic with light, because the way they look at things, the way they look at the world, the way they look at beauty, the way they look at a frame, the way they look at life is different. And so you see that in their work, and that's what makes it magical, and that's what makes it eternal.
You are in news for the Hira Mandi series. How has the reception been?
It's been overwhelming. It's been incredible. The love just keeps growing. I love Sanjay sir. Sanjay Leela Bhansali is truly globally celebrated filmmaker, and he's precious. And I'm so excited with all the conversations, all the reels, the reception, the fact that globally it's being spoken about and loved. And yes, I'm really happy.
You come to Cannes every year. How is it to be back at the Bharat Pavilion?
India is really, as a cinematic power, is really reaching the world, and for its rooted stories, and for its own unique culture, and how we are as a filmmaking nation, and filmmaking country, and I'm very happy that India is being celebrated all over the world, and the India Pavilion shows that.
Okay, let's get you the sports news now. A stunning Ademola Lookman hat-trick handed Atalanta the Europa League title on Wednesday, just the second major trophy in their 117-year history. After a 3-0 win over Bayer Leverkusen that ended the German champions' remarkable unbeaten streak. After this treble, the former England under-21 winger, who now represents Nigeria at international level, has netted 15 goals in each of his 2 seasons with Atalanta. The London-born Nigeria winger became only the 6th player to score a hat-trick in a European final. The first since Jupp Heynckes of Borussia Mönchengladbach in the 1975 UEFA Cup, with all 3 goals in the Italian side's win over Bayer Leverkusen in Dublin. Rajasthan Royals defeated Royal Challengers Bengaluru and ended their eventful campaign in the Indian Premier League with a 4-wicket win in the eliminator in Ahmedabad on Wednesday. Centre to bat, Royal Challengers Bengaluru scored 172 for 8. Rajat Patidar top scored for RCB with just 34 of 22 balls. The in-form opener Virat Kohli made 33 of 24 balls before falling to the wily leg spinner Yajavendra Chahal, while Mahipal Lomrar scored a brisk 17-ball 32. Earlier, in reply, in fact, Rajasthan Royals chased down the target of 173 with 6 balls to spare. The opener Yashasvi Jaiswal struck a 30-ball 45. Parag and Shimran Hetmeyer chipped in with a quick-fire 36 and 26. 2008 winners Royals will face Sunrisers Hyderabad in Chennai on Friday for a place in the IPL final to be played on Sunday. The Indian wicketkeeper and stalwart Dinesh Karthik concluded his India Premier League career with a defeat in the eliminator match against Rajasthan Royals on Wednesday. Karthik, who had already hinted at his retirement, received a guard of honour from his teammate after the conclusion of the match in Ahmedabad. Though he hasn't officially confirmed the news, Karthik took off his gloves and acknowledged the applause from the crowd after the heartbreaking defeat. Now, Karthik, who made his debut in the T20 League 16 years ago, remains one of the best finishers in this format of the sport. The Sunrisers Hyderabad are all set to compete in Qualifier 2 against Rajasthan Royals in the IPL. The Hyderabad captain Pat Cummins is confident of making it to the finals. DD India spoke exclusively to him. Let's listen.
and enjoying managing the young Indian cricketers in India?
It's been great. It's my first time captaining an IPL side, captaining a T20 side, and I've really loved working with our players. Got a great bunch of guys. With the bowling, it's quite experienced. Bhuvaneshwar, Unikat, Nataraj, and that's been great for me. And then lots of energetic youngsters, Nitish Reddy, Kumar, Abhishek, guys like this. It's always refreshing to see them come through.
And the team is in positive mindset after the loss against KKR?
Yeah, didn't play our best game. In fact, it was probably close to our worst game. But that happens. We've been playing some awesome cricket this season. So aim to put on one of our better performances, and we think on our day we can beat anyone. So that's what the aim is for tomorrow.
Buddha Purnima, the 2586th birth anniversary of Gautam Buddha, is being celebrated today. The day is celebrated across the world by Buddha followers or Buddhists with great grandeur and enthusiasm. Lord Buddha is believed to have attained enlightenment as well under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya on this auspicious day, apart from it being his birthday. That's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.